This is KVUE News Midday.
When I got up and looked round, there was about 30 people scattered everywhere. Some of them looked dead.
This morning, we're learning more about the massive explosion in Manchester. Who's claimed responsibility for the bombing?
Plus, state lawmakers talking today about the Texas voter ID law, what it could mean for future elections.
And things are dry here in central Texas, but storms on the way, possible for the afternoon, early evening. Some of them could be strong with some hail, gusty winds. More on that coming up.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Terry Gruca.
And I'm Anna Vida Reyes.
We begin this afternoon with tragic news overseas. Nearly 24 people in Manchester, England, dead after a suspected terror attack following an Ariana Grande concert.
ISIS has claimed responsibility for the bombing. ABC's Ariel Reshef explains what officials overseas are saying about the deadly attack.
Chaos and confusion sent concertgoers screaming and scrambling for the exit.
Everyone just started running, people were screaming and crying.
The Ariana Grande concert had just ended, the pop star off stage when a loud explosion rocked the arena.
Oh my God. What's going on? What just happened?
In this dashcam video, if you look to the left, you can see the flash, then hear the blast, causing pandemonium inside and outside the venue.
There's a lot of children were there without parents. There was no one to calm them down, so everybody was just screaming and crying and pushing.
When I got up and looked round, there was about 30 people scattered everywhere. Some of them looked dead.
The Manchester Arena is one of Britain's main concert and sport venues with more than 20,000 seats. Witnesses say on this night, the arena was packed with children and teenagers.
This attack stands out for its appalling, sickening cowardice, deliberately targeting innocent, defenseless children and young people.
Police say they believe this was the work of a suicide bomber.
We believe the attacker was carrying an improvised explosive device, which he detonated, causing this atrocity.
Well, police say right now they are still trying to determine if the attacker acted alone. As for singer Ariana Grande, she was not hurt, but devastated, and tweeted she is so sorry. Elizabeth Herr, ABC News, Washington.
In the wake of the tragedy in Manchester, a show of support. People turning to Twitter to look for the missing. Many tweeted pictures in hopes of finding their loved ones. Meanwhile, local residents and hotels used Twitter to open their doors to those stranded in the lockdown city.
Governor Greg Abbott is sending prayers to the victims in Manchester. He released a statement last night saying in part, quote, "I ask that all Texans join Cecilia and me in praying for all those affected. An attack on one democracy is an attack on us all. The state of Texas offers our full support for the victims and families impacted by this tragedy." He also tweeted this picture, the British flag currently hanging at the governor's mansion. Some sad new information to share with you this midday. We've learned actor Sir Roger Moore died this morning after a short battle with cancer. His family shared the news through a heartfelt letter posted on his Twitter account. Moore, best known for his role as James Bond, was an accomplished author and a UNICEF ambassador. He was 89 years old.
Well, now taking a live look outside, still seeing plenty of clouds out there, but sunshine could be on the way soon. Let's get a look at what we're tracking with Storm Team meteorologist Nathan Gogo.
We got one more day of some clouds and even some rain showers and chances of storms before we start to see a lot of blue skies out there. Just got to get through a number of storms for this afternoon. Here's another look outside. Temperatures right now, because of the clouds, once again, not too warm out there. 74 at Bergstrom, 73 at Camp Mabry. Winds a little bit breezy out there, anywhere from about 10 to 20 miles per hour for this afternoon. Radar is quiet now, a good amount of cloud cover as you can see as you walk out the door, but we're awaiting a cold front still to our northwest that's going to spread storms through parts of our area later this afternoon and early evening. It's not going to be widespread, but just scattered, and some of those storms again could pack a punch, possibly some hail, gusty winds, and some torrential rainfall. So here's our forecast for today. A few storms for the afternoon, clearing though as we head into tonight. And that will set the stage for a beautiful Wednesday and really evening for tonight, waking up tomorrow into the upper 50s. Not only the storm chances for today, but for Memorial Day weekend. Doesn't seem like we can ever get through Memorial Day weekend without at least some rain chances. We'll talk about those coming up in the full weather in a few minutes, guys.
A new report shows a lot of foreigners are overstaying their visas. The Department of Homeland Security released the report yesterday. It says more than 50 million foreigners that entered the U.S. last year. Over 700,000 people overstayed the country that passed their length of their visa. That includes both people who stayed to stay over as well as people who have no intention of leaving the U.S.
Well, today, an emergency item for the Texas House of Representatives, a new voter ID law. The bill would loosen rules of the state's voter ID law.
But it could also create harsh penalties for those who violate the law. KVUE's Christy Millward has the story from the Capitol.
The House of Representatives has been working for about an hour now, and the first thing on their agenda, this emergency item, Senate Bill 5. The Senate approved this months ago, and with less than a week of the session left, Governor Greg Abbott said this is an emergency item for lawmakers to tackle today. Senate Bill 5 would add options for Texas voters who cannot reasonably get one of the 7 forms of ID currently required to vote, such as a driver's license, handgun license, or passport. Back in April, a federal judge said there was evidence that discrimination was at least one of the substantial or motivating factors for passing the law back in 2011, saying it can be more difficult for minorities to get the acceptable forms of identification. And just before the November elections, the judge ordered Texas to allow voters who were unable to get one of those forms of ID to show an alternate ID, like a utility bill or bank statement, and sign an affidavit saying why they can't get the other form of identification. The Texas Civil Rights Project, based here in Austin, tells us they had to run PSAs to help voters understand the confusing process.
As you get ready to vote, remember that you must show a photo ID like a Texas driver's license at the polls. If you don't have an accepted photo ID and can't reasonably get one, don't worry.
Under Senate Bill 5, someone could face perjury charges for a false statement or false information. It would also make it a third-degree felony, and violators could face up to 10 years behind bars. Now, the next hearing for the federal case against the existing voter ID law is scheduled for June 7th, and the judge has said she wants to wait to see if lawmakers pass a version of this bill. Reporting from the state capitol, Christy Millward, back to you.
We'll let you know what happens. Christy, thank you. Renewing interest in religion, how some local churches are growing their congregations, and why at least one expert says others should not worry about a dip in membership.
And forever young. Young people going to extremes to keep the wrinkles away.